Oh, nice. I started picking up some of her books that she's reading, like mysteries, like female authors, and I'm like, this is really good. And I've actually read a book last year, which is like a big achievement for me. Years ago, I read like 4 or 5, but this past year it was one, and I was like very happy with myself. So
I get the odd one and I have to read it all. And
yeah,
it drives, that's when I'm irritating because the book is here, the book is here, the book is here. It's like, what's for dinner? I don't know. They're going to find out who killed her. I can't
yeah.
stop.
How many books do you read a year?
Oh, well, they're all on my Kindle, so I could go
Oh
back
yeah,
and look, but probably, I bet you 10 or 12 a year,
yeah.
depending on how good they are.
Magna
Probably
never
more.
liked the Kindle. She reads on her phone sometimes because she can get them for free.
Yeah.
But then she feels guilty because she's like on her phone and the kids are like looking at her. She's like, "I'm reading, I swear."
Yeah, I know. No, the kids.
Now everyone froze.
No, we're
You
good.
got it.
Are you gonna try to read?
When I retire, perhaps, but I don't know, right? We'll see. Life's too busy.
You
Right?
won't.
I probably won't, right?
If you don't now, you won't.
Yeah, I'll be one of those guys that dies on a garden tractor, I'm pretty sure. Right? Just, I mean, like I said, watching movies, reading books, those are, to me, are huge waste of times.
Yeah.
Right? There's too much to do in my life to sit still for that long.
Oh my
Like,
God, you and Rob are
I feel bad for my wife because she loves movies,
Me
right?
too.
But I mean, if we go once every 10 years,
Really?
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, because the whole time I'm just thinking, okay, I could be doing this, could be doing this, could be doing this. Right? 2 years of my life, or 2 hours of my life, I won't get back. Right? Just bizarre that way.
Do you watch a lot of TV and movies?
I like to watch my movies, so we watch them more when we're away. Like when we're on a holiday, that's when Rob will actually go, "Oh, that looks like a good movie." So when we were in Alaska, or through that period, and we'd pick an afternoon to just kind of chill because everybody was sick on the boat anyway. So we just tuned into this movie network and we watched about 3 or 2 or whatever, and they were really great movies. So I'm going, and I said, "See, there are some good ones out here." And he's like, "Yeah, that one was." But that's the only time he will, if we're away from home, because all the job list is at home.
That's funny. It's like the time that you're not supposed to watch TV
I
and
know.
movies, right?
Yeah, we do everything backwards.
Where's your next trip?
Actually, the end of the month, we're going to go down to Huatulco,
Where's that?
Mexico.
Oh, nice.
So kids don't want us to go because we'll probably bring disease back, but I'll just be careful and we won't. But
Couple extra weeks away from the kids.
well, it's one. So, and it should lie either right when baby is born or right before when we get back. So I was being selfish on some levels because I'm projecting into my future of having a tiny baby in my house again. So I thought if I can go for a week and just do nothing but maybe have a few gin and tonics on the beach,
Yeah.
that might be a good way to start.
Yeah.
So that's why we decided to go.
Yeah.
But
Do you have camping booked yet?
We're fighting for pieces of dirt right now. Yep. It's most bizarre, right? But it's like a 7 a.m. ritual.
Yeah.
You sit in front of the computer trying to reserve a tiny piece of dirt for a ridiculous amount of money every day. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. So yeah, we're going to Algonquin. And we're trying to get up by Ottawa sometime this year as well. But, that's how it works. I try, and then one day I get successful and I get a campsite, and then I email Sheila for a vacation request and hope like hell it gets approved.
Have you ever gone down to Florida with the kids?
Yep. Yeah.
I was thinking about you last week. I was like, Tim would hate this.
No, actually, I really enjoyed it. We've been down to Florida twice.
Yeah.
When the kids were younger, and it was a nice treat. It was one of those, it's great to do. The first trip was fantastic, magical, right? Especially we went to Disney, so, that's the ultimate trip. Second time back, it's like, okay, the magic's not quite the same. Still good, but not the same, right? So, yeah, I mean, I like new places versus the same old, same old.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I always get to the point when I go on holiday, it just seems like all I'm doing is spending money. It's like I just want to sit and have a drink that costs money. It costs a lot more money.
yeah,
Or like anything I wanted to do, just when I was at Disney cost money.
Yep.
Like, I just get tired of it. I can't do this anymore.
We didn't take our kids till they were 16 and 18 because partially just it never fell into the cards. But the other part was friends of ours would all take their kids at very young ages and the kids weren't remembering anything.
Yeah.
And they just seemed to come back so harassed because it was such a trip, right? So, I said to Rob, we'll just wait till they're like 16 and 18. And then we only had we went down and visited his parents that were staying in Florida. So we had one day in Disney and we had one day at Universal. So we sat down and we all picked the top thing we wanted to hit at Disney. And it was a riot because one of them would be way at another compound.
Yeah.
And the shuttle bus was coming. So thank God they were the age they were because we were all booking it across the parking lots. Get to the shuttle.
Motoring, yeah.
So it worked out very well. And we could take them into a bar if we wanted to.
Yeah.
There's motivation there.
We did 2 days at Disney, Monday and Wednesday. And I can't believe people spend a whole week there or
know.
more than 2 days. 2 days was enough. We didn't even spend 8 hours there. Like, we were 9, not even to 5 both times. And like, we don't really push our kids. And they were like, they're kind of done. They're getting tired. They saw everything wanted. They're ready to go home. We're like, great, let's leave on a high.
Yeah.
Let's not worry about them, like pushing them, getting them more tired, upset or something. So it was interesting that they're at the age where they loved everything. I don't know if I felt the magic, which is like a weird thing to think about. But then at the same time, like, they weren't into the characters as much as I thought that they would be. So we'd be like, hey, do you want to go see this person? They're like, no. Like, they just walk by. They're like, that's good.
How old are they now?
6 and 8. Well, almost 7. 7 this month. And then Beckett will be 9 in August. But yeah, it was interesting because I was like, hey, do you want to go see like so-and-so? And they're like, nah. I'm like, okay, fine by me. Those lineups were ridiculous.
Because our guys liked Universal better because it wasn't Mickey Mouse. There was Jurassic Park, there was Dr. Zeus, there was all kinds and
thrill rides and stuff at Universal, right?
So we had a way better. I'd go back there before I go back to Disney.
Our kids are too, like, I don't know if they're too young for thrill rides, but they don't like them. They don't like the roller coasters. We took them on 2 of the easiest roller coasters. Didn't like them. My youngest one only went on the first one with me because he's like the thrill seeker. It was like Slinky Dog from Toy Story. And it looked like, I was like, this looks like a little intense, but it's supposed to be fine for kids. We're going up the hill and it drops and I look over at him and his like face is like this. It's red. He's like starting to get water in his eyes. And I'm like, I just grabbed him and he put his head into my shoulder and the whole ride he was like this the whole time. And there's a photo I should show you where I'm like this in the photo and his head's just in my shoulders. And then the rest of the trip, like, he's just going on. He's like, I'd do that again. I had fun. I'm like, no, you didn't. Fun. You were terrified. And then the second one was even easier. And then halfway through, he looked like he was okay, but he's like, Dad, I'm not having fun. I'm scared. I'm like, okay. He like, just put your head on my shoulders again. And I couldn't see my oldest son, but my wife was like, he has eyes closed the entire time. Like, we're not roller coaster
We're
people.
not either, no.
We're not doing Universal. Yeah. But they are doing a bunch more stuff this year that's opening. It's like Super Nintendo and like so Mario and Donkey Kong, and there's other like stuff that they're, I think, could bring in for younger kids too.
Well, even the rides that we did, like the Jurassic Park one, it wasn't a ridiculous roller coaster upside down. Like, you were coming through pools of water and there was stuff screaming at you at the side, and so it was a different roller coaster. It wasn't that tumultuous throw up kind.
Yeah.
And you were distracted by all the other things going on around you. So it was a couple other ones we did were, I can't remember, Harry Potter or something like that or whatever.
Yeah.
But same deal. You kind of got taken through this story as opposed to just rammed on a thing and up a hill and down.
Yeah.
So it was a little different dynamic. So I think that's why we liked it.
Yeah. And that at that age too, they would have liked it a lot more. So.
Yeah. Or you sit in the Shrek ride and the stuff spitting at you and the things blowing and all that stuff. So they were fun.
You want to talk about business?
Sure.
I've asked these questions before, but it's been years actually. But like, tell me about British Empire Fuels.
Well, it's a family-owned company, right? Sheila, her husband Rob, and brother-in-law Greg. 60 years they've been around, which is fantastic, right? Always in the town of Bobcaygeon. And then, in the last decade or so, a little bit more in Lindsay. And, it's a great family business, right? They took it over from their parents, and the values still hold true. And that is so uncommon these days, right? And so, those simple, wholesome values is what all the staff love, and makes it a great place to work. And then, of course, that translates into excellent customer service. So our customers love dealing with us, right? We have our headaches along the way as well, and some bumps, but it's a long-term sustainable business. And it does well in Kawartha Lakes because people in this area still appreciate the personal touch, right? A large corporation is fine in a larger city area, but up here you still want to be close to your customers.
Why'd they start the business?
Well, Rob's dad, back at the time, he farmed in the summer, so he had his cattle and everything going on, and he delivered oil for Outrams actually in the winter. And he worked for them, I don't even know how many years. And then Rob's mom was a school teacher in Bobcaygeon. So I can't really answer what made them do it. I don't know that 100%, but the business, the people that owned it did want out, and Ross he was a guy that just, if he took a notion and it was a good idea, he'd do it. And I think that's probably 50% of what they did it for. He just figured he didn't want to do it for somebody else anymore. So that's what got that started. So they maybe had, and then they had probably about 500 customers then. And then Rob's mom, she had some health issues, and then she retired from the teaching and then got into the office side of things. So, and that was in 81. So, and then it just went from there. They moved from the hill where they were on, is that the south side of Bobcaygeon? Yes.
Yep.
So they moved the hill there and they to our current location in Bobcaygeon, and then it's just picked up from there. And again, I never would call my father-in-law, I never would have thought to call him a visionary, but in these years I do, because he bought that business. He added propane to it when we all thought he was cuckoo. Just all these initiatives, he'd just figure are a good idea, and he'd just say, we're going to do it. And then we'd just all go, okay, and we did it. So had he not got us into propane, probably wouldn't be around now. I don't know. So there's things he did at the time. Like I say, we all wanted to smack him, but by the end of it all, it was a good thing. So he was a smart guy.
How long have you worked there?
Jake he turned 4, so he's born 92, 96. I've been there since 96.
What did you do when you started there?
I started part-time. I was just clerical office. Actually, that was another impulse of Rob's dad, because he said, your son is in school and you're useless at home, so you better come into the office. And I went, okay, thanks very much. So got in there, and I started basically just customer service. For an very odd period of time, I was both office manager and reception. That was an interesting period. Anyway, and then it's just transpired from there. We've just kept growing, and then we've added Tim and everybody else, and then I got into the marketing.
What was the marketing like when you started?
I guess it was pertinent to the time. Lisa was actually doing it because we hired her. She was from a newspaper, like she was graphic art. So when she came on board, she kind of took on some of the advertising, and mostly then it was local papers, obviously. There was actually a Bobcaygeon Independent, and there was a Fenland Gazette, and there was, every little town had their paper. So we really just poured it all into that Bobcaygeon paper. And maybe a little bit on radio when I don't even know what Bounce was back then, or Bob, or whatever it is.
CHFI or something like
I don't
that.
know what
right?
it was. Yeah. So we would CKLY. I think that was it. So yeah, we would advertise with them a little bit if we had to, but that was it. The newspaper was all, and then Lisa would just draft up the ads as we needed them.
Did you take things digitally online, or like how did that start?
Yes, both Tim and I did,
Yeah.
because I knew that I didn't like the paper stuff, and I knew you could tell things were shifting if you were under a rock if you didn't. And pandemic hit, and it was either we just lay low, don't spend any more money, wait to see what happens, or giddy up and get on SEO and social media and see what it'll do for us. So we opted to giddy up, and obviously that's when we hooked up with you.
Yeah, we met January or February, whenever year COVID started. Was it 2019 or
2020.
2020? Yeah,
Mhm.
January or February.
Yeah.
But you guys were working with somebody else before. Was that the
Yeah.
first website that came online?
That was not the first one, but
Yeah.
through one of the manufacturers of the furnaces that we sell, they really, they kind of touted this marketing company. And, you asked me if I read books. I don't read books. I watch people, right? And the more you watch people, the more you realize they're all just sitting on phones, right? So, so digital marketing was starting to become a good idea. It really needed to be where people are. And so we started with that company, and the first little bit was great, right? They did a great job. They said everything they said they were going to do, they did. We did see an increase in sales, right? So obviously the concept was sound. And then, as we mentioned, it kind of drifted into the sunset. Their ideas had run out, and it was time to move on. So we started looking for somebody local, right? They were located in a city far, far away, and we're local, right? We wanted to look local, and that's how we ended up coming across you and one of your competitors. And so then we started the interview process, and it was interesting. So
I just remember that because I remember who the competitor was. And I remember when you said you wanted to work with me, I was a bit surprised. But I was like also very curious what their price was. And you told me, one day I'll tell you. Do you want to tell me now? Was I super low?
no, they were cheaper actually. Right?
Okay.
They were cheaper, but there was excitement with you, right? There was personality. There was, let's make this work together, right? And for me, that's what it was about, was a partnership. We talked about it at lunch today about having difficult conversations, and we're not always going to align our ideas, right? So can we work with somebody who's going to listen to my ideas and explain to me why I'm wrong, right? And educate me, right? And that's where you came to the table. I mean, you were very direct, right? Fun, but direct. And that's exactly what I'm like. I like to have fun, but when it's time to get serious and get down to business, we do it, right? So yeah, you were not the cheapest, right? you were more expensive, but I like, value is not always the lowest cost, right? So, and we got great value, so.
I never really thought myself as being very direct, but I think somehow I've started to do that professionally. And maybe it's a character I've taken on professionally, but I recognize too over the years, like people don't want insecurity from the person they're paying for answers and solutions for, right? So I need to kind of make up my decision and like, this is where we're going based on experience and knowledge and stuff. But
well, you're a subject matter expert, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing. If
That's
we
right.
did, we'd be doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
And cheaper, right? Well, we don't. So, and then of course it was simple talk, right? I kind of had a concept of what SEO was. You took it one step further and explained the technical details behind it, which was fantastic for me. I read the owner's manual, right? So I understood exactly what we were getting and why, right? So, that's the kind of business partnership we were looking for.
Yeah.
So.
And I think too, for us, your approach, we were knee deep in the industry, and that's what our website, that's what our messaging, that's what everything was, that and nobody knows anything about it. So when you introduce the whole idea of looking at it from a customer perspective who knows nothing about it, that really spun my head around, and I thought that's brilliant, because yeah, we're touting off all the numbers and what it can do and how long and this, and it really means nothing to the average consumer. So when you did that flip of perspective for us, I thought this is where it's going to work even better.
Can you explain that perspective? Like, what did I tell, or what, I don't want to say tell you, or how did I explain it to you?
You
Or
didn't care
what did
what
I
we
show
sold.
you?
Yeah.
You didn't care. No, I mean, that's the reality, right? You know, you learned our business model, but the actual product we sold meant nothing to you.
Yeah.
You know, it meant everything to us. We lived in that world, right? You know, you understood heating and air conditioning as a homeowner, right? And what does it mean to you? It means when you're cold, you want an instant, you know, company there to help, right? And so it was helping us look at it more like a consumer than a business, right? The people that are passionate about the, you know, the products we sell. So, and instead of, you made us look at, you know, let's look at the service you provide, not so much the product.
Yeah, it's an ugly brown or gray box in my basement.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't care what it looks like.
No.
People in your industry, they love those boxes. Plumbers love
Absolutely.
pipes.
Look at-
Electricians love talking about
Right?
wires. Like, I don't care. Like, what do we say? Like, we keep you cool in the summer and warm in the winter.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's it.
And that's what we need to tell people. Like, I don't care. I remember when I got my furnace quote from somebody else years ago, and it was 20 pages of numbers. And I was like, I called the guy, I'm like, what does this mean? Like, I don't want the most expensive one. I don't want the cheapest one. Will I be happy with this? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, great. I just want it to work.
English, please.
I don't know what any of this means. And like BTU, and I don't know what that stuff means. So,
And then our you know, approach was we had to be in everybody's face all the time, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is who we are. This is what we do. You know, you kind of change that mentality into just sit in the background until you're actually needed, and then make sure you're in their face. You know, that was how I kind of interpreted
that's a good
SEO.
way to- yeah.
Right? It's there. Nobody pays any attention to it. It's not proactive in any way, shape, or form, like from my standpoint. But the second you need to be found, you're found. And that was an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when against all the traditional marketing stuff I'd ever been taught.
yeah.
Right? You know,
Well, what would happen normally if you reached out to an SEO agency and you're like, I want to dominate and I want to make more sales? They'd be like, yeah, do SEO. But like, doing SEO doesn't mean you're going to get more calls. It doesn't mean you're going to get more people searching for you. It doesn't mean you're going to get more sales. We just have to show up when someone searches for something
Yeah.
that we sell. And in our case, it's even more important because those people are usually in a panic, or they think that they're in a panic. I've had it happen where my propane was out. I was not working with British Empire Fuels. It was another company. And I woke up one morning and my kids were young, like 2 to 4 or something like that. And it was freezing in my house. I'm like, wow, it's really cold. I look at the thermostat. It's super low. Like, that shouldn't happen.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Like, to me, that's an emergency. I'm not looking around. I'm like basically searching, and we needed to show up when stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
So,
I'm in the industry and I get it, right? You know, my daughter called me and said, it's cold, right? Her heat pump had failed, right? And I think it was Christmas Day, actually, right? You know, of course, the one time where it's not convenient to get somebody.
Yeah.
So, I lived the panic. I work in the industry and I felt that panic. Oh, man, we have to get heat right now, right? I had a couple connections. I'm happy to report I didn't have to call the technician out.
Yeah.
He was able to walk me through it, but you know, that was it. That was the priority, right? You know, and that's what we want to be when people need us, that we're there.
what problems were you trying to solve with marketing when you reached out to me?
Low sales,
Yeah.
sluggish sales, right? You know, that was really what it boiled down to. I mean, there's a lot of HVAC contractors in the area, and shockingly, we all sell heat and we all sell cooling. All right. So what we had to make ourselves different than everybody else. If you're going to get the sale, you better be different than somebody else. And that was the big challenge we wanted to dump on you was, you know, prove to everybody in the area that we're different. So
Yeah.
We focus so much on just being dominant on Google too.
Yeah.
And we still are, but that was the main focus.
Sure it was.
Like there's lots of things that we could and should be doing, and we're doing them all now.
Yeah.
But at first, it's people have an emergency. Like they're cold in the winter. They've got kids. They need someone there right away. We don't need to be on social media doing posts about charities that we're helping and all that other
Yeah.
type of nonsense. We need to show up when their furnace isn't working. So
And because it was pandemic time, we figured we were going to get that jump on everybody else because we were banking on everybody not spending any excess and not taking that leap of faith. So I think that's worked out really well for us. I think it did work.
Well, you know, in an operations world, it seems logical to cut your expenses when your sales are down, right? But if your sales are down, you need to do something to get those sales back. And I'm not a salesperson, so I wasn't going to go out and sell something. Better find somebody else to get me the sales. Marketing was it. That was the easiest way, right? Because again, you don't know who you want to sell to. You know, like there's a lot of houses in Lindsay, but not everybody's in the market for a furnace. So how do you find those select few customers?
can you describe how you feel now doing good marketing?
Overwhelmed some days. You know, when we get in those peak seasons, and it's like, oh man, I gotta fire Matt. This is not working out. Right? No, you know, we're actually, you know, we found ourselves now starting to get a little more even in our off seasons, right? You know, there's definitely some work we have to do on our side still to make it, you know, plateaued right out, but like successful. You know, you knew right from the get-go, I wanted to measure success.
Yeah.
I wanted proof that what our money was being put into was working, and you were able to provide it. So, you know, right there from whether we got the sale or not, that was the first home run. And then the second home run was seeing the increase in sales.
Yeah.
You know, it just worked. So how can you argue that?
Yeah.
What's it like working with me?
It's fun, right?
It is.
I asked this earlier, and
Yeah.
someone in the room laughed so hard that they had to put their hands over their face to stop themselves from laughing.
You know what?
And they're doing it again.
It's relaxed and it's fun, right? You know, work is work. We always have to go to work every day, right?
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't have fun doing what you're doing, you're not passionate about it, right? So you kind of displayed that passion right at the get-go when we first interviewed you, for lack of a better word, and it hasn't left in all those years.
Yes.
You get past the honeymoon period, you're still fun to work with, right? So, you know, we banter back and forth. We could joke around, you know, and then despite all that joking around, we're still getting things done on a serious level. So it's great. It's, you know, it's really painless. That's what it really boils down to, is like, you know, and here, it's your headache, Matt, you know, make it work for us. And then I can go away and work on something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I can add much more. That's right.
I always tell people the story of duct cleaning when we introduced that with email marketing and how quickly we were able to break even. Do you want to tell that story?
It would be better if you had the customer service rep tell the story. You know, new venture, a lot of apprehension in my mind, you know, because it has such a bad name, right? You know, we all get those telemarketer phone calls about duct cleaning, and so, but it's important to get, you know, that service in front of our customers too. You know, there is value added to it. It is an important aspect. So, you know, launching that email campaign was terrifying, and, you know, proved to be successful. You know, when you're stressing out the customer service rep from the amount of immediate response, and I can't use the choice words she had, but every email you'd send out, I knew it. I would know it the second that she opened her email because the responses were all in her inbox.
Yeah.
You know, our first year, you know, anytime you're doing a startup of any kind, you're expecting a loss. And our first year we made money, and not a lot, but, you know, it was a great success. And it's all related to, you know, to the marketing, because it was that fast. Nobody had ever known us for duct cleaning.
Yeah.
And it, right out of the gate, it was a huge success.
Yeah. And that's a lot of thanks to Eric. He's not here, but he definitely did all the legwork. He learned everything he could about it, figured out a program, and got us outfitted and got us trained. And yeah, he was really a big part of that. Well, we kind of put it on him, but
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, we were ready to launch it. We had all our infrastructure in place. We had all our training done. We were going to provide a great service,
Yeah.
right? Fantastic. You got all that sitting in the yard. But if that truck never leaves because nobody knows about you, and prior to that, we were getting maybe 1 or 2 phone calls a month. Do you do duct cleaning?
Yeah.
No, call these people, right? And hang up the phone. You get tired of saying no, but we had no idea we were going to have the phone ring that much. So
It was good too because again, when Rob and Greg and I were doing things, and that was something on our wish list, we knew that it would be a really good fit and a really good side thing. So when it actually came and happened, I was thrilled. I thought, wow, that's been on the list for a while and it's going to come. So that was excellent.
I remember also being surprised how quickly it worked. I was like, this makes sense. Like, we're an established company. They know us for all this. They've worked with us. They're happy. It makes sense to email, tell them, new, sparkly, shiny thing. Even I was like, that's amazing how quickly that worked.
Damn.
I remember, I thought you had said you expected to kind of break even over 12 months, and we did in 2 months.
yeah, like I said, right out of the gate, it was like a gunshot. We you figured ramp up time. We launched in April, and we really thought it was going to take a while to get traction. And honestly, I thought that towards the fall would be duct cleaning time. We have our delivery drivers involved, so we started getting all these duct cleaning requests, and meanwhile our drivers are still out delivering propane, right? So there was definitely some panic about the amount of business we got. And before we knew it, the first month was booked up solid, and then the second month, and then it's like, oh dear, we may have to turn the switch off here.
We
And
have. Yeah.
we have, yeah. And and in the fall, where I perceive duct cleaning time to be a fall thing before you start your furnace. Oh no, it's all year long. It doesn't stop, right?
Yeah.
So there's been campaigns, and like I said, that's customer service rep. She'd open her email after an email campaign had gone out, and just the choice words told me we were effective. There's more work.
It
there.
worked.
What's the next big thing? Can you talk about what the next new fun thing will be?
Well, we always have a running joke that there's no new big fun things, but it never seems to pan out. So I don't know. I guess we got our new bulk plan all up and running. So in my eyes, I'd like to see where that takes us. Hopefully, way more propane customers and possibly a lot more income and flexibility with that. So I'd like to see in the next 2 years what happens with that. And
We've had a lot of projects in the go. We've had a
Yeah.
lot of growth.
yeah,
And we joke about no new projects this year, and then every year there's a new
it's
project.
a new one.
So I keep promising to not bring on any more projects. Maybe this year I'll keep my promise.
We'll see.
I had to tell Meg that a couple years ago. She's like, no new businesses, right? I'm like, no, we're good for a little bit.
Yeah.
Then every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I've got this idea. I'm like, oh, no, don't say it. Just don't.
Write it down for later.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay focused on this stuff. Cool. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Yeah. That was painless. I feel like you were comfortable.
I was terrified.
You look great.
You didn't show
My
it.
back is soaked. Oh,
You
yeah.
kept your twiddling to a minimum.
Oh man, like it's just this is the longest I've sat in a long time. I don't sit this long, right?
Oh, you
Yeah.
fooled me, so well done.